The Bonneville Salt Flats. This place was first used for motorsports in 1912, and over the last 110 years, it has served as the ultimate proving grounds for all those afflicted with the need for speed. I first heard of this place when the Blue Flame rocket car blasted onto the scene. It was 1970. I was just a kid at the time, but I knew even then that someday I'd be here. Today, I'm arriving with Maurice Fowler. That's Maurice. Maurice likes to build bikes and go fast. I mean really f***ing fast. In fact, he and his partner in speed, Phil Johnson, already own 4 Worldland speed records. But there's always room on the wall for more at his shop in Houston, Texas. We're arriving in time for the 2021 Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials. This 6-day event will feature hundreds of motorcycles and riders from all over the world.
Let's race!
Seriously, it is a lot to take in. Vintage bikes, modern bikes, modified bikes, and some extreme custom builds that were designed with this one thing in mind. My first impression of the scene is pretty close to what I expected. But one quickly learns to expect the unexpected in this unusual environment. See? You didn't expect that. Meanwhile, the rest of the team has been out here chasing records for weeks already, during an earlier event called Speed Week. They've been working with professional rider Valerie Thompson of Valerie Thompson Racing to set yet another record with their turbocharged Kawasaki Z1400. Valerie and Ray Ray are seasoned with years of salt flat experience. And lucky for us, their pit is right next door.
Good to have my teammate here.
That's right.
Good to be back on the salt.
Valerie, how's it going for you so far?
So far, so good. You know, we got the pickleball court set up. We got the race trailer, racing first, pickleball next.
Now it's time for Phil and Maurice to refocus their attention on the bike Phil nicknamed Old Gravel Guts.
So what's happening right now?
We're wiring in the dead man kill switch.
Let's just call it engine kill switch.
The engine kill switch. This is what makes sure that if Maurice falls off, we save the bike.
Yeah, it's top priority.
It sounds like they're joking about priorities, but not really. For Phil, the priority is winning, and he has thrown everything, including his kitchen sink, into this project.
Don't tell the landlord.
Yeah, this may not be completely approved.
Man, you got to do what you got to do. You know, there's priorities around here.
I don't think he expected it to be like this when he first started the project in June of 2021.
It's that there's a lot of aluminum that got taken off of there.
Knucklehead working on that.
But the project took a nasty turn when they discovered that the poor motorcycle had suffered unspeakable abuse from a previous owner.
Some worn out cams.
At that point in the project, Phil's garage in Houston, Texas was apparently only 9 inches from the sun. So we relocated to inside Phil's kitchen. Phil's dog Frank supervised the entire thing. As Phil and Maurice dug deeper into the engine, they discovered horrific damage. Oh, the horror.
Wow.
The horror. Oh, the horror.
Jeez. Oh, geez, look at all that. Holy cow.
What do you see? It's like a half a cup of chewed up plastic and metal.
We ran the parts over to Houston Cycle Exchange to do a more detailed cleaning.
So when we ran it through the parts cleaner, we cleaned this screen out before we started so we could see what we had. About another quarter cup of large and small metallic particles. All right, so after taking everything apart, what we've concluded is the reusable parts we have here are the cases. The transmission is damaged, but it's salvageable. So that's it. The gears, the shift drum, the cases. That's it. The bearings and seals will all be replaced within the cases here, and we'll just build it from the ground up.
Starting with a new crank and rod set from Hot Rods, Phil and Maurice got down to cooking up some serious Kawasaki.
You've heard of Enzo. We're now building Shozo.
Dang, it's starting to look like a transmission. Look at you.
Looks like a good bottom end now.
Phil came up with some secret sauce for the top end.
So this is the new head from Fast Heads in Utah. The cams came from Hot Cams, and these are the stage 2 cams, which have a higher lift and duration. So these lobes, you can see, they stand up higher, which I looked at them side by side. It is significant. There's also a little bit of difference on the timing of the cams that's built into them. These cams will maybe not generate quite as much low-end torque as the stock cams would, but they're built for the top-end horsepower, which is what we really need for land speed racing. This has a little bit of go-fast work done on it. I'm not going to show you that, that's secret. But we've got some coated titanium valves here. So we've got a brand new cylinder here, aftermarket type, and I forgot what that piston is off the top of my head. Vertex piston. It'll be standard bore, standard stroke.
At this point in time, the Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials were less than 2 months away, and Phil and Maurice were putting in a lot of hours on the build. I wondered if they even thought about anything else.
Are these moments the kind of moments y'all, dream about? You lay awake at night imagining this going back together, or does it all just happen when it happens?
Yeah, it just happens when it happens.
You don't dream about it?
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
So what do you look forward to most about this whole project? Is it
Starting
the
it.
actual ride, starting it?
Who gets to kick it?
It's your bike.
I'm gonna kick that.
And then whenever you can't start it, I'll show you how to start it.
All right.
Okay.
Being difficult?
So he thinks about starting it. Maurice, what do you think about? What do you look forward to most in the project?
Freaking everybody out whenever I take off across the salt. I think it'll be a pretty fun ride on the salt. Most of the people that are out there in Bonneville are 60 plus, and when they see this young kid on a dang dirt bike launch the shit out of that bike and take off across the salt,
Where's the nut?
I think that they're going to be probably slightly annoyed, but
Annoyed?
yeah. Everybody takes off and they go, oh, and then they have first gear forever.
You're gonna get a talking to by that guy that chewed Angus's ass.
I'm okay with that.
Why? Because you plan on taking off a little faster than that?
Oh, yeah. I plan on launching it like it's in the dirt. I'm even going to practice beforehand, too.
Man, this doesn't.
I see. So this is going to be a whole shot situation. Is
Oh,
that
yeah. I'm just doing it
like
for
you're
fun.
on the line and the gate
Oh, yeah.
drops and you're going for the whole
He's
shot.
going to say go, and I'm going to go, wah, and take off.
After the engine was restored, modified, and born again fast, there were a few more high-performance tweaks made to the cooling system.
Some of the improvements that we made is putting on silicone hoses. They look better, but they also dissipate more heat. Everything's a little bit bigger orifice, so it flows a lot better. He pressure washed everything so that everything actuates the way it's supposed to, cleaned everything out in the pivots and re-greased it. Cleaned off the swing arm and applied the Kawasaki graphics there, replaced the front fender, just basically cleaned it all up. Replaced the master cylinder cover here and here. And as far as the chassis goes, I believe that is it.
They also made sure the suspension was ready for high speeds by replacing the fork seals and fluid.
One of the cool things about this year bike is this is one of the years that they did the black fork tubes on these. It's not a very common thing for them to do, and this is one of the first years that they did this on.
Finally, after a painstaking restoration and rebuild, it was time for a test ride. We brought the bike to a local test track. You probably have not been here, but at night it looks a lot like this. Right away, we could see the old KX450F has a completely new personality.
First trial on the bike, I thought it was going to be hard to get it launched because it's geared so high, but he pulled it on first gear and it just immediately does a wheelie, so it's got some juice.
So this is a pretty fun day, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
First day you've had the bike out and, ran it hard?
Yep.
How many
Yep.
minutes or hours do you have on the bike now?
Less than an hour.
Less than an
Yeah,
hour?
yeah.
All right, man. First reactions, Maurice.
It's a lot faster than I thought it was going to be honest. Typically, that's our outcome when we build stuff anyway,
Yeah.
so I guess I should expect it
Surprisingly
now.
fast.
It does like 50 miles an hour in first gear is what it feels like. I mean, I have an SV650 and I didn't have to shift, and I'm sure he didn't have to shift, but he did just because it's still a relatively new motor.
So
But
the
it's,
stock gearing on that thing is 13 on the front and a 50 on the back, and we're running a 15 on the front and a 38 on the back.
Yeah.
So it's about probably 35 to 40% taller than stock.
But it's making enough torque to pull it off the line. You didn't have, it wasn't lugging that I saw, it was hauling ass.
It lugs a
little.
little bit, but once you get going,
Once it
you
gets
can
in,
roll it
yeah.
on and just lift the front end. I mean, it's awesome.
So on Monday, it's going to our tuner, Chris Burns, and we have a power commander on there. We're going to dial the tune in so that the air-fuel ratio is spot on as we go through it. So
And that actually may be why it's lugging a little bit too. It may just be
Probably.
too fat on the bottom,
Yeah.
but it's fatter right now, and that's safer because it's still a brand new motor. You
Right
don't want to
on.
lean
And
it
it
out
wasn't
too-
smoking,
too
by the
soon.
way. It
Yeah.
was clean, so
No,
at
only
speed
thing-
it's okay.
The only thing it smoked a couple of times was the tire.
Now that you've had it out, Bill, are you ready to make a top speed prediction
no,
today?
I don't make top
No.
speed
How
predictions.
about
Here's the
you?
prediction I'll make.
We've learned our lesson.
I don't even want to make that prediction. I'll say
Yeah.
this, the bike is definitely capable of setting at least 2 records.
Yeah.
Our next stop on the way to Bonneville was Houston's famed speed shop, Boom's Tune HQ, where Kawasaki tuner extraordinaire Chris Burns is set to make the final tuning tweaks to what we hope will be the fastest motocross bike in the world. The bike was run on pump gas for the test ride and what little break-in we did, and now everyone is curious to see how much of a difference the race fuel will actually make.
Yeah, I wanted to maybe run it with pump gas in it, and then run it with the oxygenated race fuel to see how big of a difference it makes.
Yeah, we can try it.
Even on pump gas, and before Chris had finished the final tweaks to the air-fuel mixture, the numbers were very encouraging.
So cool.
We refueled the bike with race fuel, and Chris went on to make a few more adjustments, and things started to improve. At the end of the day, the results were just fucking awesome. The KX450F motocross bike was spinning the drum at a whopping 132 miles per hour. 1 week and 1,600 miles later, here we are.
We don't want to hurt little Shoza.
The kill switch is just part of a long list of special requirements to race in this event.
Do we want to test it
Oh yeah.
before we tape everything up?
Yes. Fucking A.
Works.
Every motorcycle must undergo a detailed tech inspection. The inspectors are very meticulous, and the process includes the rider's safety gear. After all was said and done, Phil was told all he needed was safety wire on 3 additional parts to be fully race ready. Phil wastes no time. He is a man with a mission, and he's really good with safety wire. He has the radiator cap and the oil drain plug wired up in no time. The front axle nut takes a little more work. But soon we are back at the tech inspection area, receiving that all-important decal. And with that, the team is now set to race for the world record in the 500cc class with production frame, altered engine, eligible to compete in both the race fuel and pump gasoline subcategories. I'm saying it's race time. Early morning, Maurice put his leathers in the truck and we headed to the staging area. We thought he would take it easy on the way, but apparently not.
All right, so I didn't really want to push it too much going back and forth in between running to the pre-staging, but in my nature, I still did it a little bit. And surprisingly, it hooked up really, really well. I didn't think that it was going to hook up that good. I think this thing's going to go. I mean, I nailed it in first, nailed it in second, nailed it in third. My weight was over the back of the seat, but I wasn't like way back, and it hooked up and it pulled. So I think it's going to be a good run.
How's that make you feel, Phil?
I'm super excited.
I'm excited, and the weather is perfect right now.
Yeah.
We have 0 wind practically. Salt is good. Couldn't ask for better conditions. So as long as the bike behaves and we did everything right, then we should come out the other end with. I'm not going to say it. We'll see at the other end.
No predictions still?
Hopefully we'll come out with good results.
No predictions then?
No predictions.
May the gods of speed be with you both.
Hopefully we'll be on our way to Impound. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm headed straight there anyway.
There's nothing to do now but get in line and wait for the green flag. The speed to beat was 94 miles per hour, and the race announcer just gave us some very exciting news.
Maurice doesn't know what just happened, does he?
No, he doesn't know, so he'll be on his way back. We're going to try to meet him up, and they're going to tell him go to impound because he's qualified for a record.
$110, baby.
Okay, yeah.
It was cakewalk. I mean, the launch was the hardest part. I mean, I took off and I felt it get a little squirrely, and then I felt it, slip. First 3 gears.
Had it go good?
Damn it. He got it
The
on
official
tape.
timing slip reads 110.43 miles per hour. And as exciting as that is, it does not etch their names into the annals of the Salt Flats. This is the premier land speed racing event in the world, and they do not make it easy. Within 3 hours, Maurice has to repeat the run going the opposite direction. If the average speed of both runs is over 94 miles per hour, then he has a record, pending ratification. At the staging area for return runs, it's not a long wait, and Maurice was eager to hit it. Again, after the run, the bike goes straight to the impound area, and we quickly make our way to the timing booth for that all-important official timing slip.
109.209. That's cool. That's it. So pending verification, it's a new AMA record for my class.
The ratification process requires race officials to confirm that the engine specifications are, in fact, within class
You need to
guidelines.
seal your motor. Are you going to run this again, or do you want to tear it down and have us measure it first?
Do I have to tear it down?
No. Well, you will this week, but I can go ahead and seal it so you can continue running, and then you can tear it down before you leave this week.
Okay. I
we can
do want to
seal it.
run.
With 3 days left in the event, the guys hope to get in at least one more record-setting run. So for now, the engine will be sealed with a special paint, making it impossible to alter or tamper with before the official inspection. Yeah, for a little land speed racing team from Texas, this was a really good day. Early in the morning, we find Phil creatively sorting out some ballast issues. So, whilst he tends to other race stuff, Maurice cues up little Shozo for another run. While we're waiting, I want to hear about any tweaks the guys made to flog a few more miles per hour out of this thing.
Yesterday we were pretty happy with the results, but in our typical fashion, we're still never satisfied. So naturally, I still want to do better. So what we did is we actually figured out that we had a little tire rubbing issue. So I took a little advice from Mr. Burt Monroe and shaved the side of the tire down to make sure there's less drag on it. And then I also noticed that I was lacking a little bit of power on the big end. So we pulled 5% of the fuel out on the top gear to make sure that it was a little bit leaner, get a little bit more power, and hopefully it'll get me, another 5 miles an hour. I'm gonna try a little bit of a different body position. I didn't eat anything last night, and I didn't eat anything this morning. And I visited the Honey Bucket several times already. So hopefully we're all good to go, because I'm hungry.
The only thing that happens fast at the Salt Flats is the actual racing. Finally, Maurice is saddled up and ready for the green flag. Maurice's first 2 runs averaged out to 109.824 miles per hour, smashing the existing record of 94. Now, upping his own record will be a lot more challenging, or so we thought until we heard the announcement.
Maurice Fowler on a 2012 Kawasaki KX450F at 111.88 miles per hour. 111.88 miles per hour.
Maurice grabs his time slip,
111.188.
checks in at impound,
You ready to go for your second?
Sure.
and quickly cooks off his return run at 109.486, upping his own record to 110.337 miles per hour.
Upped it.
However, his record is quickly challenged by this guy. Phil plans on grabbing an unclaimed record in this class. All he has to do is make his runs using gasoline instead of race fuel. But apparently, his competitive spirit lit up and he runs an impressive 110.992 miles per hour on his first run.
Don't tell anybody, but my first run was faster than Maurice's.
But the return run was just a little too slow to catch Maurice at 107.871 for an average speed of 109.432. Quite respectable, Phil. These guys are extraordinary people. And not just because they delivered on 2 land speed records. It's their ability to embrace challenges and constantly strive to improve themselves that impresses me. As for my first experience at Bonneville, I think it helped me remember who I really am. An 8-year-old kid that's fascinated with speed.